And good morning, good afternoon, fellow victims of the lockdown. Today, as I'm speaking to you, the people of Israel are celebrating what they call Yom Yerushalayim. They're reciting Hallel to celebrate the thrilling events of 53 years ago, which led to the reunification of Jerusalem, thus enabling unimpeded access to the Kotel for everyone. So I think it's entirely appropriate for me to talk about Jerusalem, a city to which all Jews have been umbilically attached for more than 3 millennia. Yes, Jerusalem is special. No other world city has played such a dominant part in the history, culture, religion, and consciousness of a people. As the Psalm says, I think it's 137 or 147, Im eshkachech Yerushalayim tishkach yemini. If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, may my right hand forget its cunning. In our daily prayers, we physically face in the direction of our holy city. We constantly demonstrate our spiritual involvement in its fortunes. We are inevitably caught up in its tragedies, and we express our exhilaration at its survival. Now, in June 1967, outnumbered and outgunned, plucky little Israel prevailed against her enemies. In the blink of an eye, the Six-Day War was over. It was certainly a demonstration of the loving hand of Providence. A few weeks later, I flew to Israel to imbibe the Ruach, to be a part of the general post-war euphoria. I walked the streets of Jerusalem, absorbing the special aura which always seems to bathe the whole city. I saw the Israeli bulldozers destroying the Mandelbaum Gate, a military checkpoint, which had marked the fact that Jerusalem had been a city of two halves since the War of Independence in 1948. Let me sketch a few historical highlights. Jerusalem's origins date back nearly 6,000 years, making it one of the oldest settled communities in the world. Egypt controlled Jerusalem 4,000 years ago, and then 500 years later, a Canaanite tribe called the Jebusites, Yebusim, built a hill fortress on what we now call Har Zion. Around 3,000 years ago, King David managed to take control of the settlement. Now, David was not a suitable person to initiate the building of any holy temple because he was a man of war. He had blood on his hands. David had been responsible for many deaths. It was left to his son Solomon, the wise and peace-loving king, to build a substantial temple, Beit HaMikdash, which soon became a major cultural and religious center for the Israelites. Less than 300 years later, the Israelite nation split into two, unfortunately. The kingdom of Judah in the south, with Jerusalem at its capital, separated from the kingdom of Israel in the north, with Shechem as its capital. King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon conquered Jerusalem in 586 before the Common Era, and tragically, Solomon's temple was burnt to the ground. And then, as the mournful song goes, by the waters of Babylon, our ancestors sat and wept as they remembered Zion. A few decades later, the temple was rebuilt to a certain extent, and King Herod the Great, he embellished it after establishing Judea as a Roman province. This was not a happy state of affairs for our people, and they eventually staged a massive revolt against the alien Roman power. In the year 70 of the Common Era, a superior force under General Titus attacked Jerusalem, and they succeeded in crushing all Israelite opposition. The Romans took away as booty all the valuable gold and silver objects they found in the temple. Today, all that remains of the Second Temple is a section of one Herodian wall. It is venerated as the Kotel Ma'aravi, the Western Wall. 1,000 years later, Jerusalem came under the control of the Muslims. This promoted the Catholic Church to send various expedition forces called the Crusades to expel the Arabs in order to transform Jerusalem into a Christian city. During all those wars, which were essentially between the Catholic Church and Islam, unfortunately, many thousands of Jews lost their lives, while Judea remained neglected and underdeveloped for many, many years. Soldiers of the Ottoman Empire under Suleiman the Magnificent marched into Jerusalem about 500 years ago, and it soon became the city where all religions were tolerated. Orthodox Jews, immigrants from many lands, began to settle in large numbers about 300 years ago. During the First World War, the Ottoman regime collapsed, and Britain was put in charge of what was called Palestine. The Hadassah Medical School and the Hebrew University were founded in 1925 on Mount Scopus. In 1947, as we all know, the United Nations approved a plan to partition the country between the Jews and the Arabs. Israel agreed, the Arab world said no, thus leading to the Israeli War of Independence. Today, thank God, Jerusalem is a unified city under Jewish control, and it is aiming to be open to all faiths and of none. Over the years, there have been countless songs, books, poems hailing Jerusalem as the Golden City, the symbol of all that is good in the world. The word Yerushalayim is thought to be a combination of two words, the second being shalayim, a word which has the same root as shalom or salam, meaning peace in both Hebrew and Arabic. Now, so much for world history, for history of Israel. What of now? Today, the streets of Jerusalem echo with the sound of ancient learning. Young people, some of them descendants of survivors of diverse communities now long gone, they gather together, as in the past, to study Torah and Talmud in Jerusalem's numerous yeshivot. The Bachorim learn, they discuss, they probe, they argue as they seek answers to age-old dilemmas affecting our relationship to the Almighty. Altogether, 1 in 10 citizens of Israel live in Jerusalem. Many are involved in sophisticated technical enterprises. We in the diaspora, we have a duty to pause and feel privileged that we are witnessing the modern miracle of the ingathering of the exiles from all corners of the earth, working and studying together and creating what is now the modern and dynamic state of Israel, with Jerusalem as its rightful capital. I shall stop here. We all have Kabbalat Shabbat to think of tonight, but I shall ask my wife, Rosalie, to join me in wishing you all Shabbat Shalom, and we pray that all of us may enjoy good health during the coming days and weeks. Bye-bye.
Shabbat Shalom.